So here's the episode commentary for 104, The Warriors of Kyoshi. And I guess the first thing to say about this episode is that this is the first time we really get away from the kind of opening section of the show. The first three episodes were really introductions to the character, giving us some of the things that they're aiming to do throughout the series. But here is our first sort of episode where it's just a regular episode of season 1. Many people might say about this episode and episodes like this that they're filler episodes, but in my opinion, Avatar has no filler episodes. Any episode that is not heavy on plot is excellent for character development, and I think most episodes of Avatar that are not plot heavy do this. In this episode, it's very focused on Sokka, with the kind of second plot of Katara and Aang having an argument and then getting over that. So this episode was set up in the first episode where Katara called out Sokka for being sexist, and rightly so, because he is sort of sexist, as we see later on in this episode. And then we see here Zuko. The episode opens up with Zuko still searching for the Avatar. They're struggling to find him. He's very calm, taking his uncle's advice, but once Uncle says that they have no idea where he is, he completely flares up. That's how much he cares about this. That's how much what Ozai did to him has affected him. And then just that cut there, again, from red to blue, saying evasive maneuvering to we have no idea where we're going. Just amazing. And then once again, we see on Appa, while they're on their way somewhere, Aang trying to impress Katara because he likes her with this awesome marble trick, but she's busy, still sort of in her responsibility mode from the Southern Water Temple, Southern Water Tribe, and then Sokka again being sexist as usual, and then Katara just is not taking any of this from her brother. And immediately Sokka realizes that this is an important role that Katara plays in the group, but doesn't apologize for it yet. Where are we going? You won't need any pants. Which is actually true, because Aang is just on this island to show off and ride some animals. And Aang using the fact that he's known Appa for ages against Katara and Sokka there. And then we see Sokka there call Appa a magical monster. Still sort of not accepting the fact that bending and the ability to fly is normal in the Avatar world. He's calling it magic. And then again we have this really amazing Yang Chen music for the airbending kind of fun. And we see the kind of confidence and just how brave sort of Aang is, that he just hops on a massive fish and starts surfing with it. And Katara is impressed. And then throughout this episode you'll see that this is the first episode where pretty much Momo is part of the group, so we'll see just how he affects any kind of scene. He'll just appear in it, and I'll point out a few bits throughout this episode. And we see here's the introduction of the Unagi, and instantly you get that its tail fin, it's bigger than the elephant koi he was riding before, and it's just another great way that shows off the size of some of these monsters, as Aang annihilates Sokka right there. Absolutely just smashes him into a tree. And here, the introduction of the Kyoshi warriors. I like the way they kind of don't show you too much of them. They just kind of capture them instantly, capturing a master airbender there as well. Admittedly, they took them by surprise, but they still got them. There's Oyaji, the kind of leader of Kyoshi Island. And there's Suki. And then that line there from Sokka, again being a bit sexist there, thinking that only men could have captured him. And like, he's the only one from the group who's saying this. To save him, realizing that, yes, this is what he's like. And Katara stepping in. And that line there from Oyaji, how do we know you're not Fire Nation spies? It's just a great kind of world building thing in that all the towns will be really wary of any like random travelers here. They haven't seen an airbender in ages, so obviously they'll be wary. And then there's Kyoshi, which, as I mentioned before, was not mentioned in the previous episode of the Hall of Avatars. So it's sort of like the one next to Roku was not Kyoshi, so it's just an interesting thing to note about kind of continuity. Was it just that they were saving her to introduce her this episode? And they're all stunned to see the Avatar. There it is, Foamy, right there. A character who sort of might have been like a kind of throwaway one that they put in making the episode, but has taken on a whole new role because of just how intense the Avatar fandom is. Him and like the Cabbage Merchant are like two kind of fan favorites. Like, you put those two in an episode, we will freak out. And we did a little setup of I think that Sokka and Iroh both like food. And we see here that Aang has only been in this Kyoshi Island a few hours, and they're already kind of sprucing up the Kyoshi statue in honor of him. They have plates of food out there for him. And then, as I was mentioning about Momo, throughout this scene of Aang, Katara and Sokka talking, we just see Momo randomly throughout the scene coming onto the table, stealing bits of food. And this is a great kind of thing that they do in the animation to make what might be like kind of a boring scene of just them talking, the odd movement from the characters, and we just see Momo eating. And then we see Aang kind of thinking that like he's become a celebrity in the town now, and he's sort of like taking advantage of this. It's gone to his head, but Katara is really kind of down to earth in this situation. And then it's this the Sokka, the Katara and Aang kind of conflict in this episode is that they're both sort of stubborn. Aang won't admit that he's kind of taking advantage of this situation, his celebrity status, and Katara won't admit that she's jealous of all the attention that Aang's getting. And then it's just an interesting thing here with Aang being chased by the fangirls all over the place, is that Zuko in the fandom is the character with like the most kind of like fangirls. But here, Aang is the one with all of them. And it is just the little mutterings of this artist as he as more and more girls come into the painting with Aang. And here we have a clever use of airbending here once again, showing off air ups, just a really great way. And there's a little shot of like Katara just walks by as he's doing that, and just you see her kind of eyes roll. You can tell she's jealous without her actually like saying it. And then back to the Sokka plot here. Sokka still thinks he's a better warrior than these people who captured him. He was not even aware they were anywhere near him. You see, normally he'd hold a grudge, but he comes in here kind of like to prove himself. And then the Kyoshi warriors know that they're better than him. And then like Sokka there says best warrior in his village, but we know he's the only warrior in his village. So he's either just kind of lying to kind of big himself up, or else he's just completely delusional about his skills as a warrior. And then we see like Sokka just goes for a straightforward punch, and it's just simply blocked. Then he goes for this brutal kick and just again easily dodged by Suki. We see that he just does not have any subtlety in him. Then she just completely like manhandles Sokka and just embarrasses him so much. But what I like about it is that Suki at first was really sincere to Sokka. She was willing to kind of be nice to him if he was nice. But like again, he came in all sexist. I'm better than you. So she showed him that she was the better warrior. And then we see that Katara, yeah, she is planning for their trip ahead, but Aang only wants to stay here because of his group of fangirls, led by Coco, K-O-K-O. But we see that Katara is jealous of him, but she won't admit it. So they both kind of have to like apologize to each other later, and we will see that. And like you see Sokka kind of stewing outside of the dojos, so to say. And he comes in here again, and he is sincere, which I think is why this episode deals with this kind of sexist plot really well. Some people might say that the sexist plot is way too like straight at you, like this episode is about sexism. But the way that Sokka really sincerely comes in here, apologizes, and the way Suki again sincerely accepts him, but like coming back to what I said earlier, she was sincere to him at first, so she does make a little bit more fun of him, but tries to help him. And just you do sort of get their relationship, that Suki has taken an interest in Sokka, and him and her. And like Suki kind of uses the fact putting on the Kyoshi Warrior outfit as I think dressing him up as like a girl to show him that like being a girl has nothing to do with whether or not you're being a girl has nothing to do with being a bad warrior or whatever. And then we see the two little looks there after that argument. Aang looks back at her, and then she looks back at him. They both kind of want to apologize to each other, but are still being a bit stubborn. And then we see that Suki is a good teacher to Sokka. Sokka is a quick learner. And then that's kind of perfect for their relationship, in that they have like, there's a kind of competitive edge to their relationship. They're both trying to like one up each other. So like the kind of kiss at the end, it doesn't kind of come out of nowhere. There is a kind of attraction between the two. And then again, the marble trick is just a great thing throughout the episode. That like Aang thinks it's awesome, but like apart from the initial kind of impact that, oh, hey, look, I'm the Avatar, look what I can do. That's the only time it's like liked. I don't know. We see just a kind of a simple apology. Like they might have, they're not forced into a situation where they have to apologize to us. They just kind of come up to each other and apologize. They both admit they're wrong. Again, something some other shows might have done a bit differently, but just again done really well here. And the return of the Unagi once again, which just an interesting note is that we know that the moon is the original waterbender, but for the other three elements, the original bender is an animal. So we really don't see an animal throughout the series that can waterbend, but the Unagi is probably the closest one, given that it can kind of spray water out, Pokemon style, you know, like Ash Ketchum there in the background. Unagi, water gun. And we see how much Katara cares about Aang in that she kind of rushes out, doesn't even notice the Unagi, just rushes out to save him. And then she does a really powerful, once again, another powerful waterbending move there to save him, showing us kind of how she is a waterbending prodigy, sort of. Like, she has learned all on her own. And she probably didn't even know she could do that move there, but did it anyway, saved Aang. And we'll see in a minute or so that she can do some even more kind of intricate waterbending that will require lots of skill. And then here's the introduction of Zuko into the kind of main story, bringing both stories together. And I didn't mention this before, but the use of the kind of fish to alert Zuko to the fact that Aang was on Kyoshi Island was really well done. Just showing the kind of fish going from the different stages of preparation, being caught on Kyoshi Island to being on Zuko's plate on the ship. There was the Katara's intricate waterbending, taking the water out of his kind of lungs. Just like the body's like 4/5 water, so her locating that specific water was just amazing. And then that scene back there, Sokka. Oh yeah, she calls him a girl, but this shows the kind of development that he doesn't care. He realizes girls can be warriors too, in that he doesn't really say anything when he himself is called a girl. Just a kind of subtle hint of his development. There's the kimono rhinos of the Fire Nation. Again, they fit in so well with the kind of aesthetic style of the Fire Nation. With the armor, they have the kind of armored rhinos. And I just kind of love the style of the Kyoshi warriors, the kind of stealth. And we see that Zuko has advanced a bit as a warrior here too. Obviously learning from his uncle, taking down an amazing warrior like Suki. And here he is surrounded by tree, and he uses that kind of breakdancing move again, which he will use multiple times, even in the finale against Azula. It's like his finishing move. And then the confidence of Aang there. And we see their Zuko and Aang's first fight, sort of not on a ship, not restricted, right out in the open. And we see that Aang's master status as an airbender, he's the better fighter than Zuko there. As we see, he absolutely annihilates Zuko for, I believe, the 5th time in the series with the fans. And then this just a great shot. Aang is the Avatar. He realized that coming here, look what this has brought to here. He came back. They spruced up that Kyoshi statue. But in coming back, he has also brought the Fire Nation kind of upon this island, and it's been burned back to kind of its old state again. And then we see Aang and Katara have put that their earlier argument completely behind them, in the name of the kind of greater good of protecting Kyoshi Island. And here's the kind of final scene of Sokka and Suki. We see the kiss, that they do like each other. We see that was Sokka's first kiss, as is referenced again in a later episode. And like, this is the last time we see Suki until the Serpent's Pass episode. And it's just, Avatar has this amazing way of introducing just these kind of minor characters, and then they make you love them just as much as the main cast of Aang, Sokka. Like, even Zuko, kind of, as we saw in the last episode, is not like a complete villain. And here we see kind of Aang's growth throughout this episode as the Avatar. He has to do something to help Kyoshi Island. He gets over his kind of fear that he couldn't tame the Unagi, and just instantly does it. He uses the water gun attack there to put out all the fires, soak the Fire Nation. The Fire Nation now have no reason to be on Kyoshi Island. And then Oyaji there, kind of, I like the way they didn't just complain about Aang burning down the city, but Oyaji focuses on the fact that he has brought hope back to them, and just interesting. So that has been 104, the Warriors of Kyoshi. Next will be the King of Omashu, which is in my opinion one of the funniest episodes of the series. 317, the Ember Island Players, is probably funnier, but it aims to be funny. This one sort of just tells a like serious story, but it has the jokes throughout it, and that's what I like about it. I'll discuss that more in the next one. So anyway, bye. See you for the next commentary.